Hey everybody, welcome back to another movie review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content channel as of late. I haven't done a movie review in a while. Sorry, I got popcorn in my teeth. Um, just got back from the movie theater. It's been a hot minute. It's been it's been almost a month since I've been in the theater. So, um, last thing I think I saw was Hoppers with my brother. But I decided to check this out just because I've been trying to be more proactive, just trying to be, more just getting out of the house, and doing stuff. So I decided to check this out. I wasn't entirely interested to see this, but I was interested enough to give it a go. That film that we're going to be talking about today is Project Hail Mary, which was written and directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. You guys may be familiar with movies such as The Lego Movie, 22 and 23rd Jump Street, right? I think that's what the recent Jump Street movies with Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. And for a hot minute, they had directed the Han Solo film, until, of course, they infamously got fired. But this is their latest, and I believe, the latest in a while. So making a bit of a comeback, and now here they are with Amazon Studios. I believe their most expensive film to date. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, with a $200 million budget. The stars Ryan Gosling, and this is based off of a book from 2021 carrying the same name. And as the story goes, we follow an astronaut. At least we believe to be an astronaut at first, but we find out that he's more or less a scientist who was brought on this space adventure. And he wakes up and he is in a state of amnesia. He doesn't really remember much about his whole purpose or literally being on a spaceship. He just has no idea about what is going on. And as he learns more about his mission, learns more about his purpose, he is having trouble finding that true meaning upon what it is that he is doing, and seeking some sort of greater purpose beyond that of his mission. Eventually, he makes contact with another ship. And this ship has a very technical look to it. It has a very golden and very spiky look to it. And he develops a friendship with an alien creature that has a very rock-like formation. And the two of them embark on a mission because both of their worlds are actually in peril due to a bacteria that is devouring the sun, and it is putting both of their worlds in jeopardy. And it is spreading across multiple galaxies and stuff like that. And they embark on this mission together, and throughout this mission, they learn a lot about friendship, a lot about companionship, and really finding a greater purpose beyond that of their mission, and seeing more for life than just what it is that they have been trotted and pushed by other people. So to lay out some context, I saw this movie I just was just doing my own thing, and I went and sat next to this person named Emily, and if she ever ends up watching this, hi. And I have to say, watching it with her made the experience a lot more fun. Because if I had watched this on my own, I feel like I would have probably walked out feeling not as much, but because of being with her, I just, we shared, some, it was, we shared some laughter and stuff like that. And it kind of elevated some of the experience for me. But it's just a preface that, some of the experience may have fact been filtered by my, my time with this stranger, but it was to say it was fun to hang out with that person. So, but film proper wise, um, I think that to start, on the positive side of things, I think that visually it's quite neat. In the when it comes to space, there's obviously going to be a lot aesthetic that gets represented, and in the case of this, there is a lot of that you get to bear witness, and we get to see lots of things, with like specifically how they play with certain colorings, with the reds and the greens and the yellows. Like there's a lot of variety in that way, and it makes for something visually quite intriguing to see. Um, and a lot of the effects also extend out of visuals, that of practicality as well. The whole little rock creature, which I've read is part practical, part visual VFX, and in that aspect, it's interesting to see, especially with how they, provide details. It almost looks like with things like tatted up, but it has like symbols all over its body and stuff like that. And it's kind of unique as to how it is actually designed, and how it is how it informs the character, the rock creature, and how it develops this connection with Ryan Gosling's character. Um, but and speaking of that relationship, I mean, there's some tenderness to it. I mean, a lot of it I think is to do with the visualization itself. The juxtaposition between a cute uh, object and that of a human counterpart. There's, it kind of echoes of like Mandalorian and Grogu. That whole like relationship there, um, and to some extent it's cute. And to some further extent also there's some resonance to be found in that as well. Um, but I think my biggest problems with the film are twofold. On one front, I feel like the film was a bit long. I don't think that it needed to play for as long as it did. This is a 2.5 hour movie, and I feel as though that the story could have been told in, I think, a solid 2 hour runtime, or even maybe in an hour and a half, because there's a lot of the film is done in a non-linear structure. So we have the current events that are happening, and then we show things happening in the past to basically illustrate the characters, state, coming out of that amnesia, furthering his intelligence at the same time, within his current dilemmas, and informing, also the film's overall messaging, which is essentially about loneliness and about seeking purpose, outside of what it is that you already are doing, looking for something greater beyond that. And in the case of this, it's companionship and friendship. Um, and I feel as though that we could have gotten to that idea without the need to explore what had happened previously, because a lot of that just feels like padding. It doesn't feel like we're actually digging deeper into this idea, even though it is quite shallow of an idea, in my particular opinion. It's not like doing anything more that you would see in the realm of science fiction. If anything, it's actually doing something quite familiar in the realm of science fiction. This idea of loneliness, and the vastness of space being that visualization to illustrate that point. It's like we've seen that done many, many times in science fiction. Almost like a staple, a cliche at this point. But a lot of what the film is presenting to me does not feel as warranted or feels as purposeful. I don't see the need for us to see how he gets on the ship. Like I don't think that was really important as much as what is currently happening. Because a lot of that just feels as though that it's to rein in more of what is established, but not deepening that understanding. So, and as it stands, what is there when we're past that and we're seeing the current situation play, it again feels rather shallow. It doesn't feel like we're getting something more meaningful and something more in depth or enriched. It just feels as though that it is a very par of the course type story. You understand the bare bones of what it's about, and it's pretty much the sum of its parts. And that's, for all it is trying to do, I mean, I don't quite see what more you can do, especially because it is wanting to be lighthearted, and it's wanting to be, very, very, I guess you could say friendly in nature. There's not a whole lot of, without spoiling much of anything, I mean, there isn't a there isn't a lot of sacrifice or consequence when it comes to the narrative. Let's just put it that way. And the because of that, it is reining in what it is that we pretty much know and not allowing for any more deeper understandings to really take shape. So I think it's more visually intriguing, and to some extent it does have some resonance, but ultimately I feel as though that it is clinging on to cliches, clinging on to basics, in terms of science fiction, how film usually grapples with science fiction. It just comes across quite shallow, if visually intriguing, and at points resonant, but a lot of it has to do with what is in front of the camera and not necessarily what is being felt through those lines. So yeah, so those are my thoughts on Project Hail Mary. I think it's very okay. It's not. I don't think it's anything outstanding. I don't think that it's anything, widely creative, in my opinion. I think that it's just very basic, and I think that really it's the visualizations, that kind of supply some kind of interest, but really, as the story goes, it's not reaching any further depth that I would have wanted it to. So those are my thoughts on Project Hail Mary. You guys, let me know your thoughts on Project Hail Mary if you guys have seen it. We'll see how this does at the box office, because this has a heavy price tag attached to it. But knowing Amazon, they will just call this what do you call it? They'll just say, oh yeah, it's not what it does in theaters, it's what it does on streaming. The whole thing we talked about many times. So we'll see where things end up with this. I don't predict much, but those are my thoughts on Project Hail Mary. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.